Welcome to Her Comeback, Transforming Your Life After 50. I'm your host, Michele Thompson. If you've ever whispered to yourself, there has to be more than this, you are in the right place. This show is for women over 50 who have hit their breaking point and are finally ready to stop going at it alone. You've tried the self-help books, the vision boards, positive thinking, but you're still stuck. And here's what I know. You're not broken. You just need the right support. And that's exactly what you're going to find here. Each week, I'll sit down with incredible women who have transformed their lives. You'll hear their real stories, the messy middle, the breakthrough moments, the practical steps that they took to create the lives that they love. Because your lowest moment, it can be your launching pad. So if you're done settling and ready for your comeback, stay with me. Let's discover how other women have made it happen and how you can too. Are you ready? This is Her Comeback.
Hi, everyone. Good day. It is so wonderful to have as our featured guest today, Dr. Michele Pelletiere. She is a wonderful chiropractor local here to Southwest Florida. Michele, welcome to the show.
Hi, Michele. I'm very excited to be here, and hello to everybody who's listening, and hopefully you will receive some really good wisdom and information today.
Yes, definitely. Michele, tell the audience a little bit more just about yourself, who you are.
Sure. I am a chiropractor in Bonita Springs. I've been practicing for 25 years. I moved here in 97 after I graduated from chiropractic school. I was living in Minnesota at the time. And I started my business down here, and I just love what I do. It's a very different experience, chiropractic experience for people, and I'm excited to tell everybody about it. I also live in Bonita Springs with my husband and my two cats, and so we're pretty involved with the Bonita community for a long time. So
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, what took you into being a chiropractor? What was your interest that sparked there?
So when I lived in Minnesota, I was having an issue with my back. I've actually my back with tingling into my fingers for a long time. And at the time, I was in the neuropsychology profession as a cognitive rehabilitation specialist. So working more sort of mentally with people, kind of I wasn't counseling, but it was very much of a mental type of a thing, work that I did with people to regenerate their nerves in their brain. And I had had this problem for several years, and one of my friends said, "Hey, you should go see a chiropractor." And so I was very resistant to it. But once I went, I read in his office about innate intelligence and how the body, power that made the body heals the body, and and healing happens from above down, inside out. And that was very interesting to me to know that actually I could find the power within my own body to heal myself. And then I wound up going to chiropractic school. And while I was in chiropractic school, I was getting the regular, cracking type of chiropractic, but I kept having to get adjusted all the time. And I thought, well, if you fix the alignment, why is it keep misaligning and what's happening? So that's when I met Dr. Donnie Epstein, who's the founder of NetworkSpinal Analysis, or NetworkSpinal it's called now. And he said, well, your body's strategy when you get under stress is to misalign. And if we go beyond what they call, chiropractors call the subluxation, and look at the connection of the brain to the body through the nervous system, you can actually function at a higher level, and your body won't have to feel like it's protecting itself all the time. And so here I am 25 years later after doing that work, and through the evolution of all the work, he's constantly evolving the work to match what's happening in culture.
I find this really fascinating because for me, I am a longtime chiropractic patient. I started having, similar to something you described, I started having issues in my early 20s where for me, it was my neck, and then it would stiffen my back so much that I couldn't walk. I found for all these years that work with a chiropractor has enabled me to function and able to manage whatever my issues are, without any type of surgery or that type of thing. But when you talk about this network approach, that is new to me. So what is it that drew you to that specifically? And then maybe you were mentioning that a little bit, but is there something that just you feel makes this network approach very different from other options?
What I think I was feeling at the time, and I was in chiropractic school, was, and chiropractic, don't get me wrong, is a very great profession, or I wouldn't be doing that. It's what it made me who I am today. But what I felt is that was keeping me in the same place. Like I really didn't feel like was able to make any changes, or I didn't feel like it was just working for me. I felt like it was something like I kept having to put a Band-Aid on. And so when I learned about network and actually started receiving the care, which is, I'm a very experiential person. So when I started receiving the care, one of the questions when I first went to my first network doctor, she said, "Are you aware of your spine?" Well, I was in chiropractic school. Well, yeah, I am aware of the spine because we're studying it. But
Mm,
that's not what she meant, and I didn't really realize that I was not connected to my body. I wasn't aware of what was happening in my body or how my thoughts and how everything around me was affecting my body physically, emotionally, and even chemically sometimes. So, after my first session with her, I remember I could feel my spine moving. Like, I was like, "Oh, so now I'm aware of my spine." And so I said, I really felt like I need to learn what this is going to do to help other people to move forward. Because at the time I thought, well, if people keep having to keep coming in to see me to reduce their subluxations, why can't their body do that on their own? How can I help somebody to empower themselves so that they have the resources and the ability to make changes and do things in their life, not necessarily on their own. I mean, with some coaching from me, of course. I mean, we all need some support and help. But for me, it was like, how do I do that by myself? If this innate intelligence is supposed to work, how can I make that more available to me? And that's kind of how I fell into it.
That's awesome. So you had your own personal experience, a personal story with the technique. Have
Mhm.
there been other stories or experience you've had maybe with clients that really have just solidified your path in working in this space?
Yeah, I was thinking about that. And I'll give you two examples, one a physical one and one maybe more of a life one as well. I had a client who had come to me who had been having network from the area where she came. You know, we have snowbirds here, so we have people visiting. And she came in one day and I felt her spine and I had her lay down. She was basically in for maintenance. And then she said, "Did you notice anything different today?" And I said, "Yeah, there was a little bit of tension in your neck." And she said, "Well, let me tell you, I was in a car accident." Now, I'd feel many spines. It did not feel like her spine was in a car accident. And she
Ah,
said, "I'll tell you what happened. I felt my neck starting to build up tension. And then I just put my hand right where you usually put your hands when you're working on me. And I took a deep breath and the tension went away and it never came back." So to me, when that happened, I said, this is what happened was her body had a choice. Do I go into fight or flight? Or can I resolve this tension here so I don't store it for later and have to experience it again later? And so that was physical story that led me to believe, what I've been doing all these years is very valuable. And then
right.
I had somebody else who she was just going through, she was a little bit less than 50, but she was going through the life changes and she was going through some physical changes, but also her kids had, left to go to college and everything. And she was having a relationship challenge with people, her husband at the time, and she just felt stuck. And she said,
Mhm,
I don't know how to describe it, but I just don't feel like I have the energy to
mhm.
deal with anything. We sometimes call it the bandwidth. She said, "I just don't feel like I have enough energy, enough resources to make the changes I want out of my life." And she had found out of this technique, I think it was on Instagram or something. And so, from a colleague of mine. And so we started working with her, which, a lot of people would say, well, what were her symptoms? Or what were her physical things? Well, just, I mean, in general, she was very fatigued. Of course, she had the hormonal changes that we go through when we're in our late 40s, early 50s. And she didn't really feel like she was connected to herself. Like she didn't understand why this was happening. So when we started working with her, I remember she came to me and she said, "I really feel more like who I am. And now I know what I need to do to change my life to be to where I think I should be." And so like the passion in her just lit up. And those are my favorite stories when people come
Uh,
in and they
yeah.
say, oh my gosh, remember I was trying to start this business and something was stopping me. And then all of a sudden
Mhm.
I had this thought or, had this idea, and it helped me to make the decision that I've been talking about for 3, 4, 5 years.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
that's another way that it's when I talk to people in my workshops, a lot of people come in for physical things, but there are
mhm.
many people who come in because either they'll refer to some people like life coaches like yourself or psychologists who are like, boy, we're really kind of at a crossroads, and there's this thought or this experience that this person can't get through, and can network help that? And it can, because it gives the person a different connection to themselves. So
Mhm.
sometimes what's happening with all of, people are feeling fatigued, especially, when they are done taking care of the kids, or they have to shift what they have to do at home, and they find that they can't sleep, or they're having issues with tension that they've stored for years in their body and had to hold there for whatever reason. It puts us in fight or flight. And then that's where our filter is. So instead of responding to things in our environment, we're reacting.
Mhm.
And for those who aren't familiar with fight or flight, or they, they're talking about a lot of vagal thing. There's a lot of little buzzwords that they're using. Much of our culture, it's like our foot is on the gas of our car 24/7, and they can't shut it off. And that is simply reconnecting the brain to the body will help release those tensions and all the life tensions in the spine that will give the body another option to filter life through. So instead of using fight or flight, it connects with the frontal lobe a little more, where we have reasoning and we can evaluate things. When we're in fight or flight, we don't have time for that, right? Because our body thinks that it's running away from a lion. One of the analogies we use is with the nervous system is, do you want a nervous system that can hear the lion's roar from afar,
Mhm.
or do you want a nervous system where you don't know the lion's there till they're breathing on your neck? Which one's more adaptable?
Right.
Right?
Definitely. You want
So the
the
more neuroplasticity we have, the more we can adapt to the changes that are happening in our lives. So it's not
Mhm.
really, I mean, it's not magic. There's a lot of science behind it. But when we are not aware of that, of what's going on, this type of work can help people get there.
Yeah, it's really fascinating because you're really talking about this mind-body connection that can truly transform your life. You see transformations in your patients. And so you've talked about your approach. It's more than just this physical adjustment. Can you give any further explanation about how this mind-body-spirit connection works? You've walked through that a little bit, but just
Yeah.
any other detail there?
Well, certainly. I think that what happens a lot is that we are influenced by a lot of things that are outside of our environment, right?
Mhm.
So when we're going through tough times, and I'm going to use, because your audience is all about transforming, in our 50s, we have changes in our health and our hormones, and all these things are physical. And everybody focuses so much on the physical without being aware that there's a mind that controls that as well. And we want that to be in congruence. We don't want it to be fighting what's happening, right? So there's some people who are like, well, I don't know if I want to do this physical treatment for what's going on. And then the mind tells you, well, you have to, because that society is telling you that that's what the problem is. But if we just look at the nervous system and learn how to optimize that so that we have the energy to make those decisions, we can see a bigger picture of how everything fits together. And then you can choose and or come up with a strategy that works for you. So it might be a combination of doing some of the physical things, or maybe we start to meditate or start to do yoga or do something to help our body to reconnect. But the decision, first you have to decide to do that, and sometimes because the nervous system doesn't have the energy or the resources, it's harder to make that decision, right? Because you're just thinking, Well, I already can't sleep and I don't have any time in the day to go to yoga and I don't have time to work out 5 hours a day and I don't have, so it's all of these things that get piled on top of us, which also make us even more subluxated or interfered with our nervous system. And the nervous system just shuts down and says, nah, let's just go take a nap.
So how do you help your patients when they're in that state that you just described, like everything is just so overwhelming and they just are so stuck? What is it? How do you get them to take that first step?
So what usually happens, yeah, when people come in, when we have them come in, we do an extensive evaluation with them or an exam. So I do a physical exam. The shape, tension, and position of your spine is directly related to the shape, tension, and position of your life, right? So we'll take a picture of some posture and at first just kind of bring people aware of what's going on. So that first two visits is, oh, are you aware that you have tension here? Or are you aware that when you started talking about your relationship, you had tension in your low back? Or are you aware? So I make them aware of anything that they might feel is prevalent in their life at the time. And then the work that's done is physical, but it's also, I hesitate to call it energetic, but it's an energetic. I mean, anytime you're putting your hands on somebody, it's energetic. But we're working with all of the energy fields that create what's going on in our nervous system and create our lives. And so from doing the physical contacts to the spine to get the brain to be more aware of what's going on, to having a conversation sometimes with people on the table, I'll say, oh, that's interesting. You told me today that you did XYZ, and now that's showing up in your spine here. Do you feel that? Or
Mm,
what
fascinating.
thought is coming up when I did that? Like, what did you
Mm,
think of? Because sometimes people will have an emotional response on the table and they'll
mhm,
say, oh, I'm crying. I don't know I'm crying. And
mm.
and I'll say, well, I touched this part of your spine. And they'll say, oh yeah, oh, I remember I fell off my bike and I hurt myself there and I never processed it or whatever it is. We don't know what we're hiding in our bodies because our bodies, when we have tension and we don't have the ability to transform it at the time, our body will store it. And
Right.
we'll store it there until it gets the attention again that it needs to transform it. So
Right.
it's kind of a combination, and we don't talk about it like therapy or anything like that. It's just bringing attention, bringing awareness to what's going on with the body, acknowledging that it's there, and then accepting it for what it is, and then moving on.
You mentioned the word optimizing a little bit ago. How can optimizing the nervous systems help with life transitions? So we know as women in our 50s, we have all these different transitions we're facing. So how does this optimization really help us?
So if you think of it in terms of, say, software on your computer, right? So let's say you have a really old computer and you have this, you're working on Windows 10
Yeah.
and you're trying to run some new programs
Yeah.
and they just won't work, right?
Yeah.
So
Right.
you need Windows 11 to do that. So really optimizing is the brain and the spinal cord we look at as the operating system of the nervous system. So this is also a new term that people are talking about. We've talked about it in network for a while. It's creating the bandwidth. Optimizing nervous system is creating the bandwidth so somebody is able to assess and respond to what's going on in their environment in a more productive way or in a more
Mm.
optimized way. And so the connection that's made from the light touches to cue the brain to allow the body to release tensions and start living a better life, that is optimizing the nervous system.
And at some point, will the body, if you do this with some frequency with your work, does the brain start to automatically maybe do some things it didn't used to do?
That's a really good question. I like that question. Yes, it does, because I've had a lot of people when they've gone through, their immersion care or they're still in what we call beyond wellness care, they will tell me like, oh, the other day, I always use this as an example because we're headed towards the holidays. I always have a lot of tension and stress and anxiety about going to my in-laws for, Thanksgiving. That's not happening today. And my in-law said something and it really didn't I didn't feel like I took it on that way, or I really felt like I was able to handle it better, right? And so, and it
Yeah.
wasn't something conscious that they did. They will just come back and they'll make the observation later. Well, the way I see that, the way I kind of explain it is, they had two options now to take care of it. They could be really defensive and shut down and not do anything about it, or they can allow it to happen, allow that person to see that person for who they are and what they say, and know that it didn't have anything to do with them, and to move on. And it becomes more organic. That
Mhm.
becomes the thing where the brain makes a decision. Oh, yeah, I don't have to protect myself now. Oh, it's good. It's good. Oh, thanks.
That's great.
Great. We're gonna leave now.
Yeah, yeah, that is fantastic. I find the work that you do is just fascinating, and I think it's such a great option that's available for those to try and see what your experience might be, that it could really open up some opportunities and open up some doors for you, no matter what's going on in your life, because it sounds like anything stored in our bodies, anything that is there, whether we know it or not, the work that you're doing can really go a long way with releasing and healing and being able to move forward without those struggles.
Yeah, for sure. And when we talk about optimizing, we want to make sure that we're functioning at the highest level that we want to
Mm.
function. And sometimes we're not aware that we're not functioning there. And
Yeah.
so when we release those, physical tensions in the spine, and which also releases the life tensions that we're having in our environment, we're more able to evaluate. And, they talk about neuroplasticity. That's another thing they're talking about, that we've talked about for years, that people are starting to catch up with. But when we have the ability to have, we'll call it like brain gymnastics, like if we can do those brain gymnastics back bends, we're probably more flexible to be able to heal things, feel and experience things from a different perspective. And we
Yes.
have the energy to do that. And so when we optimize the nervous system, we're making sure, like, do I have the latest download of the operating system so that I can run all of my programs? And I
Yes.
use the computer because
Yes.
that's just an easier way, but it does. And what will happen is you will default to that which is going to give you the greatest change
Mm.
and the deepest experience. Whereas before, if you're not optimized, or if the nervous system's bandwidth has decreased a little bit, I've had people say this to me before. Oh, I can't talk about that right now. I don't have the bandwidth for it.
Yeah.
And I think, well, optimize your nervous system and you will be able, it's a matter of changing the channel, right? We're getting
Yeah.
static in that channel. So let's go to
Yes.
the next one up, let's go to
Yes.
97.7 instead of 0.6, because we got to get a clearer message in our nervous system. And the clearer message that we can get, the more we can create things that we want to create, and we have the energy to go ahead and do that.
Yes. That's so fantastic. I love it. So tell me a little bit more about any promotions that you have, or what you're promoting with your practice.
So currently, September 18th was the birthday for chiropractic. It's 130 years old.
Oh, I didn't know that.
It was founded at September 18th. So it was founded 130 years ago by Dee Palmer, and the developer, his son, BJ Palmer, created it. So it's been around for that many years. And
Wow.
so currently, right now, for people who call into the office, or anybody who refers people to the office, that person will get their first exam for half off, so 50% off. It's great to get people in and refer people. What I find that happens is, one person from a family will come, and then they have this experience, and people start seeing the changes in them and their energy, the way they're doing things. They might seem happy, or they might be a little less stressed out. And then they're like, hey, what are you doing? How can I get that? Or when they do that, they see that in their children, or see that in their loved ones, and they're like, you're going to go in now.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
I need you to get your bandwidth to where I am,
Right.
so that we can live happier together.
That's right.
So
That's
that
right.
is what
Everybody
anybody
wins.
who's listening to, this is a special one. Anybody who's listening to this podcast also get the 50% off, even if it's not September.
Oh, Wonderful. Well, thank you for doing that for our audience. That's fantastic. And what's the best way for them to contact you or your office?
They can call the office, which is 239-949-1222, or I do have a website and it's backtowellbeing.com.
Okay.
And then
Back
from
to
that
well-being.
website, yeah, they can make
Okay.
from that website, they can get all information about how to contact us. Our email is on there, and then my assistant can get them set up with their appointment, or if they want to, call and talk to me, they can do that as well.
Oh, wonderful. Dr. Michele, I think you go by Dr. Michele, right? Is that what your
Yeah,
patients call you?
yeah, Dr. Michele, or Michelle's fine too.
Yeah. So, Dr. Michele, thank you so much for sharing your expertise with us and walking us through your approach and how your practice works. It's just been really fascinating for me and so many practical things that just make sense. As you described it, it's like, oh, that really makes sense. So, thank you for kind of breaking that down for me and the audience. And I really wish you the best. Oh, there's one more thing before we close. We got to share with our
That's right.
audience. You and I are doing a networking event together.
Yes.
Would you share a little bit more about it?
Absolutely. So I am super excited to be partnering with Michele Thompson, life coach. Yes. Coach Michele. Coach Michele.
Yes, there we go.
And we are having an event for women in business who just want to get together and collaborate together and kind of meet each other and talk about how we can help each other in our business as women, women in culture. And it's on October 7th, Tuesday, October 7th from 5 to 7. And we're going to do it at BCN Paella, which is close to my office. And it's just a lovely place. The woman, Kristen, she's very sweet. And I studied in Spain, so I kind of have a soft spot for the place.
Yes.
And so we'll be able to meet Michele and myself, and then we'll have a time where we network with everybody, and anybody can get up and tell us what they do and how we can kind of work together as a community to help the people in our community and help people in business. And also we're going to have some tapas and
Yes.
some
Looking
little
forward to the
snacks and
tapas.
everything. Yes. So it should be a fun evening. I'm very much looking forward to it. And I'm very grateful that Michele wanted to partner with me on this.
Yes, yes, me too. I'm so grateful that our paths cross and that you've been able to have some shared experience together here. So thank you again. And I wish you continued success in your work and hope your business will just flourish.
Thank you so much. And you as well. Yeah. So
Thank you.
we work very well together. When somebody needs some help to make that transformation, they need a coach.
Yes,
I
that's right.
have a coach. So
Yes, there's complementary services.
yeah,
Yeah, that's
absolutely.
right. All right. Well, thank you again. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Thank you.
Thank you. You too, Michele.
Thank you so much for spending time with me today. I am truly grateful that you chose to listen in, and I hope that this conversation sparks something meaningful for you. Please take a moment to subscribe, leave a review. It helps other women to find us who need to hear these stories too. And if you know someone who is ready for their own comeback, share this episode with them. I'd love to connect with you beyond the podcast. Visit me at hercomebackpodcast.com. That's hercomebackpodcast.com to learn more about how we can work together. I have a gift for you. Get your free copy today of 5 powerful shifts to reclaim your life. Remember, your comeback story is waiting to be written. The question isn't, can I transform my life? The question is, are you ready? Let's go.